So Ta-Nehisi Coates went on Zateo with Mehdi Hassan, and he was asked about that very, very hostile interview he had recently. What was it, on CBS? I'm sure you guys saw a lot of other shows covered. I meant to cover it, but somehow lost it in show prep somewhere. Big mistake. But anyway, there's this host that really pesters him and basically calls him a terrorist sympathizer and says, like, you know, the portion of his book on Israel and Palestine is extremist. Why? Because he dares to actually understand the Palestinian perspective. So Mehdi Hassan is going to talk to Ta-Nehisi Coates about this, and he has a very good warning. He has a dire warning for Kamala Harris here. Let's go.
We know that Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about Palestinians. He uses it as a pejorative, as an insult now. What do you make of Joe Biden and especially Kamala Harris on this issue? Do you think they give a damn about Palestinians?
I don't know about Kamala. I literally don't know. I think Biden's a Zionist, and I'm taking him at his words. You know, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, one of the most dangerous things, and I really do mean this, that I heard him say was, and I'm sorry, this quote is not going to be exact, but he basically said to a Jewish audience, we know you wouldn't be safe without Israel. Yeah. Hold up. That's your job, Joe. That's your job. Yeah. So are you saying that, like, you're not going to protect Jewish Americans who are Americans? Is that what you're saying? You know, it's a kind of insanity is the only word that comes to mind. Like, how can you be president of the United States and say that? You know what I mean? It's very similar to what Abe Lincoln actually said to black folks when he was trying to get us to leave. You know, hey, no, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. You will never be safe here. Yeah. You know, I mean, it is an incredible. I mean, I couldn't believe somebody would say that. Yeah. You know, and so he's a true believer. He clearly is. You know, he got these numbers and said, well, you know, I think these numbers of deaths are overstated. You know, I hope Kamala will be better. I hope, you know, if she becomes president, she'll be better. I think it's extremely, extremely important that people like me and black folks who are proud of her and want to support her understand that she stands on the shoulders of other people, that you cannot have Shirley Chisholm up here, you cannot have Fannie Lou Hamer up here and be exporting 2,000-pound bombs to drop on kids and hospitals and schools, that is completely inconsistent, that the struggle is not just our skin color, that it is principle also. This is extremely, extremely important, and I'm going to do all I can to communicate that. You know, it's a kind of soul death for the struggle to just say, hey, we're just going to go along with this because, you know what I mean, because you're black.
That was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. Look, it's a warning, and it's a fair warning. You know, we were on track with the Biden administration for him to seriously be the best president of certainly my lifetime, right? With everything that was done with the NLRB and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and unions and wages. There was a lot of stuff being done on the economic front, the infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, etc. There was a lot of stuff being done that was just really based, that was just really good. And so it was at the point where it was like, got to give credit where credit is due. 800,000 manufacturing jobs coming back, like amazing stuff. And then they decided to arm and fund and back a genocide, a mass slaughter campaign against innocent men, women, and children. And what Ta-Nehisi Coates here is saying to Kamala Harris is, you're not going to get very far in the eyes of your own community if you just sort of concede to the dominant power structure on foreign policy, right? I mean, Biden has become our generation's LBJ. LBJ, on the domestic front, did a lot of great stuff, right? War on Poverty, Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act. Like, he's the one that got that through. A racist Southern white dude got through some of the best legislation domestically. But in terms of foreign policy, it was as bad could be. It was guns and butter is what they called it. It was escalate in Vietnam more and more and more. The generals would come to him and say, sir, we need more people and we need to recommit to our effort and redouble down. And he'd be like, okay, fine, let's do it. And then, the discrepancy, the disparity was tremendous between how good it was on the domestic economic front and how horrible it was on the foreign policy front. And that is now what Biden has become. But, I think you could even make the argument with Biden, it might even be worse when it comes to Gaza, right? Especially because Netanyahu's trying to rat fuck the Democrats and trying to make it so Trump gets back in office, and he's just still going along with it, no problems whatsoever. And you can't, stand on the shoulders of giants and, the legacy of civil rights fighters before you and get into this position and then just continue business as usual on foreign policy. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. And at the beginning, there were signs that maybe she would change the direction. When you pick somebody like Tim Walz as your VP, best governor in the country, he had previously defended the uncommitted movement, which the only Democrat in the country, insofar as I know, that really defended them. He fought the deep state and the neocon warmongers when they wanted to bomb Syria, and he did it on 2 different occasions. He opposed the Iraq War. He tried to disarm Saudi Arabia, not send them any more weapons as they were doing a genocide in Yemen. So the signs were there of like, hey, maybe she will be a little different on this. But now the path has changed, and the path is clearly just going to use both sides' rhetoric endlessly, but recommit to arming and funding Israel every step of the way. Stress that, Israel has a right to defend itself and will always make sure they can. So stressing you're going to keep arming them and funding them when that's your sole piece of leverage to stop the genocide. That's what you have over them. Doesn't matter how much you say pretty please and how much you might be stern with them behind the scenes in meetings. At the end of the day, they will only stop if you make them stop. And the way you make them stop is to say, you're not getting any more weapons. And so, your legacy is set up for failure if you get in there and you just continue business as usual, right? It is. And we're at the point now where the Biden administration they're such fanatical Zionists that they are literally overriding the deep state and going to the right of the deep state. In other words, it's the intelligence agencies and it's the Pentagon. They're the ones who've said, whoa, what are you doing? Israel's now attacking Lebanon. Israel's now getting into a deeper war with Iran. That's going to drag us into it. What are you doing? Pump your brakes. And guess what? They still decided, McGurk in particular, still decided, no, we're going to keep arming them and let them bomb Lebanon. Let them bomb Beirut. It is what it is. This is where we're at. And so, by the way, just to be clear, the Trump administration, same thing. Going to the right of the deep state, going to the right of the Pentagon and saying, yeah, attack the Iranian nuclear facilities. This is where we are. And it's like, are you going to change that or are you not? Both sides' rhetoric isn't going to cut it anymore. It's not going to cut it. It's just not. And a lot of people lost a lot of hope that she would change the policy even 5% from what Biden has done. And I think they're correct. And so, look, view what he's saying as a warning to Kamala. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure if you get in there and you just go along to get along. Because, in retrospect, it will, down the road, historically, what's going on right now, it's going to be viewed the same way as arming and funding and supporting apartheid South Africa, well beyond everybody already realizing it's apartheid and it's evil and it's not right, it's authoritarian, and we need to stop it. Now everybody looks back and goes, well, that really wasn't debatable now, was it? Like, there was one right side and one wrong side. And it's going to be the same on Gaza. And it doesn't matter how deep you are in that establishment, how cuddled up to the powers that be you are in that establishment, your legacy will be what it is. You're going to make your own bed and sleep in it unless you change course. And as of right now, the signs just aren't there. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.